It's good afternoon, Tony Khan. Welcome to Yellow Shelf.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate you having me on.
Tony, thank you for saying yes and coming on. Congratulations. You are the host of the podcast show Everything AI in Travel.
That is true.
Tell us all about this podcast. I know we've been discussing it's very niche, but it's super fascinating. So what do we need to know about it?
For sure. Well, I spent over 2 decades in travel, in the non-AI part of it.
Yeah.
And then the great lurgy came across the world, COVID, and travel stopped. And as a result, my work also stopped. And when we came out the other side, I thought, what will I do next? And at the same time, up popped this thing, AI, and it actually blew my mind in its
Yeah.
ability to change the way I would have done my job in the old days. And I couldn't stay away from it. And I thought,
Yeah.
well, who's talking about this? Who's
Yeah.
telling everybody else what they're learning? And I couldn't find anybody else talking about it. And I said, well, I'm going to talk about it. And a newsletter and then podcast was born from that.
Yeah, and that's how powerful is that, Tony? I think it's super interesting. You had this 25-year career, sustainable travel and tech travel, so you've got the knowledge, and then you jump into the world of AI, which even as parents, even in the workplace, we're all like getting exposed to AI. Tell us about your guests. You get topics, lots of knowledge. Tell us about that experience of how you bring together your guests and put your shows together.
For sure. Now, you would know this as a podcast host, but podcasting is actually a secret sauce, right? When you want someone to talk to you about something you don't know anything about, if you just ping them on LinkedIn and ask them, could we have a chat for an hour? They would say no, or actually they would actually not contact you at all. But when you say, would you like to come on my podcast? They all say yes. And so what I do is I choose people who I see in the world that are doing fascinating things in the world of AI and the travel industry specifically. And I ask them to come on, and then I ask them everything I want to know about their business over 30 minutes. We never go more than 30 minutes. And I also dig into their background because people who work in travel are generally quite fascinating. They've generally done a lot of travel themselves. They're from interesting places. And so we dig into the human side of who they are and then how, like, they've ended up in travel, in AI. And we just have that conversation, and through it, I learn a lot, and I hope my guests learn a lot, and they seem to because the reaction's been pretty great so far.
Yeah. And it is like that feeling of sitting next to someone interesting, at a dinner party or on a plane, and they've got lots of information to share with you about things you didn't even know you needed to know.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And for me, it's become kind of a lead generation for consulting work. And when I go and do an introduction to AI with a travel company, I actually use my podcast as one of the examples on how AI is actually practically usable in someone's life because my artwork is made with AI, my jingle is made with AI, my introduction is made by an AI presenter. I edit it with AI, everything, and it shows a real practical use on how we can use this technology to make our lives simpler and easier. And I don't know about you, but the first time I ever did a podcast, I spent more than 3 hours trying to edit it in old school
Yeah.
editing software. And I said, I'm never going to do this again
Yes.
because even though I enjoyed the conversation, I don't have time to be
Yeah.
removing every and ah, of which I
Yes.
have many.
Yes. Yes. Thank God for AI, and really, I know people get nervous about AI or have in the past got nervous about AI, but there's a lot to embrace here. And what your show demonstrates is, in the world of travel, embrace and accept knowledge in that space.
For sure. You had a wonderful guest on a few episodes back who talked about context, and that's what AI is about. You need to bring your context to what the AI can bring to the party. You need each other. Okay, it's going to be extremely helpful in what you do in your work, but without your context, it's actually not that useful. So we're in this together, us and the machine, and hopefully we'll work it all out together as well.
We sure will. Tony, if people are curious, because I know people will be like, wow, didn't even think about AI in travel. If people are curious about your show, if people are curious to connect with you, I know you've got a fabulous website. I follow you on LinkedIn. Point us in the direction of the show and you.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm on LinkedIn, Tony Khan on LinkedIn. The show is Everything AI and Travel. You find it on Spotify. And if you're in the travel industry, then I go and do all the digging for you every week to find out what's going in the industry and feed it back to you in a very brief newsletter so you don't have to go and do that work. And so if you're in the industry, you can sign up to the newsletter straight from my LinkedIn profile as well.
We love those newsletters because that just, gives us that snapshot of what we need to know. Tony, congratulations. Keep podcasting. Thanks for coming on. All the best.
Appreciate the invite, Joe. Thank you very much for having me on.
Cheers.